Hey, Star Wars fans and Rule the Galaxy fans, we are back for chapter 117 of Rule the Galaxy. And it's Joe in the pilot seat with some of our great co hosts who are always here by our side. And we're waiting for one more to join in. But while we're doing that, you can always follow us at Rule the Galaxy SW on Twitter, Rule the Galaxy SW at gmail.com. Or just Rule the Galaxy on YouTube or Facebook. We'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to give any comments, reviews, anything like that, we will always take that. And we've been getting some great feedback from people about some of our recent shows with the First of Cairo, the Dave M. Jones. So it's been really exciting and great. And Stephen Kent, we actually got a listener who sent me a message right after the show and said, that was a great show. I'm going to buy that book right now. So Stephen Kent, congratulations. We might have just helped you get a sale. But enough of that right now. We're on chapter 117. We've had some big things happen today in Star Wars. And enough of hearing me talk. Let's talk to some of our great friendly co-hosts. Let's start with Brent Dykeman. Brent, how are you, sir?
Something big happened today. I must be living under a rock. I didn't know that there was anything big going on.
I thought it was a slow week.
Yeah, right. I will always show off the toys that I receive because you guys talk about your toys. Mm-hmm. My toys mean more to me. But so the infantry support platform, I got it all painted up and modeled up. I call it the Swamp Speeder. So if you're watching on the YouTubes, you can kind of see it. It's all ready to roll for the next game that I play. And then over my shoulder, I was jealous of all the other Star Wars stuff that people would throw over their shoulder. My mother-in-law got me like the patent numbers, I guess. One of them, the R2 one, has like McQuarrie et al. So I believe that was the concept art for R2, or at least two drawings of it. There's concept art for the Snow Speeder. I got the Lambda class shuttle and the TIE bomber. So those are all kind of hanging over my shoulder. But yeah, so ready to talk about some Boba. Turn it over to the man that needs no introduction with the Boba symbol on his arm.
And his hat. But real quick, before we go to Alfie, that is some great artwork back there. And it's really good to get that clean, just, it's not too flashy, not too much Star Wars. It's just kind of basic. People couldn't tell if they just looked at it what it was, right? It's just like, it looks like nice hand-drawn artwork there behind you. So I do like those. And congrats to your mother-in-law for grabbing those for you. Alfie, okay, it was a slow week, but for you, this was kind of something that's been happening or waiting to happen for 38 years, something like that.
A long time, yes.
So here we are, and it's 1983. Our good friend goes down in the Sarlacc pit, and yes, we saw glimpses of him before this, but your guy with your tattoo and your hat and a lot of your gear, we saw some things today about him. How are you, Alfie?
I'm doing great. Hectic holiday week. It was great. I'm on vacation this week. It's awesome being home with the family. We had a great holiday. Been getting some work done here at home. Good. Ready to relax and talk some Star Wars, some Boba Fett.
Well, good. Well, let's do that. And like I mentioned, we have one more who will hopefully be joining us here. DDoc, who's usually with us, is having some computer issues, so he'll join in a little bit. And when he does, we'll just say a quick hello to him. But do we want to jump 2 feet right into Boba Fett, or do we want to talk about some other crazy news items before we get into the meat and potato of things?
Let's do some other news items just to allow our friend a few more minutes of grace.
All right. Well, you know what? I'll just throw some things out there. Some things that I read this week as we wait to do the big story here. The Star Cruiser Halcyon was not mentioned during the Disney Christmas parade, and that is usually the time when they promote their biggest and best things coming out the following year. We've talked about it with Dave M. Jones, with First of Cairo, and I'm sure many others. It didn't surprise me to hear that news one bit whatsoever. And again, this is coming from a group that if we had the money, we would still jump and go do this thing.
I'd be there tomorrow.
Exactly. It's just sad that they're running into these roadblocks and they keep tripping over themselves. Any thoughts on that, Brent?
even with the goofy videos, right? Because let's be honest, their promotional videos left a lot to be desired. Just like Alfie said, even watching those goofy videos, I still want to do it. I still want to go see it. I just can't afford it.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to see the lightsaber training be a little bit more interactive than just kind of like shooting. But who knows what it'll actually feel like when you're there. I'm hoping there would be other things there. It seems like it's going to be a niche hotel too, so you're only going to be around maybe 100 to 200 people at max, plus the cast that members walking through and playing the different roles as you walk through. So I don't know, like if I had the disposable income that I don't spend on my toys, I would be there tomorrow, but I just can't afford it.
Yep. Alfie, how about you?
I think we're in damage control mode here. I get the feeling that we're going back to the drawing board and trying to, I'm not going to say what I think, but try to make it a little more Star Wars. I mean, nothing that they've shown looks anything like Star Wars. I said it before and I said it again. This looks like when we were kids, man, and you go to the video store and there wasn't a Star Wars movie, so you had to pick a movie that was like Star Wars.
Yeah.
It just looks bad, really bad. Yeah. And the reception they've gotten, I don't think is anything what they expected.
I agree. DDoc has shown up and joined the forces, and he's wearing his looks like Baby Yoda Mandalorian Christmas sweater there, or pajamas, one or the other. How are you doing, DDoc?
I'm good. I don't know if anything is working here. Can you hear me? Loud and clear? Okay. Yeah. I'm doing good. A little bit of craziness getting set up here. Can't find the charger for my laptop. Laptop may die mid-episode. So yeah, I just finished the show at 9 or 8:55, and I don't know. Crazy.
Okay. Well, see, that's
why to get the kids out of the living room before watching it and stuff. So
that we started off with just hitting some general topics and everything because we wanted to make sure you were here for the discussion. So glad to have you. I know we're all facing the same thing. I mean, my son always jokes that this is the most worthless week of the year because it's not Christmas now and it's not New Year's yet. And everybody's thinking, am I going back to work? Am I really working? I don't know. So yeah, it's kind of a mixed up, crazy week. Before we, let's just hit these other bullet points real quick. Because we want to be a full head of steam when we hit the Boba Fett talk. One, DDoc, thanks for pointing this out to me. I don't know how I missed it. Marc Thompson, our good friend from the show, the great voice actor who does so many novels and audio books and is now part of Star Wars Visions. Marc Thompson hospitalized in the last week, and we all are wishing him well. Again, DDoc, thanks for pointing that out to us all so we could send him a message. Great guy. I think it was kind of confusing health thing that he wasn't even sure about, what was going on, but hopefully he's turning the corner and everything's getting better, but we all want to wish him the best. Have we heard any more? Have you guys seen anything more on Mark? No? I know he was sending pictures from the hospital in good spirits, so I think he's turning the corner, but hey, Mark, if you do hear this, or if anybody wants to reach out to Mark on Twitter or any social media, wish him well because he's a great guy and hated to see that. I've had to spend the hospital or the Christmas season at the hospital in the past. It's never very much fun. 5 years ago this week, the princess, Carrie Fisher, passed away. It's hard to think that it's been 5 years. It seems like it was like a year ago to me. And she's left a big void. I mean, obviously she was facing quite a few health issues as she got older, but to sit there and think that it's been 5 years since Carrie Fisher passed, and think about all the turmoil we went through between, the sequel trilogy and where is she going to finish up and end up and everything like that. Your guys' thoughts? I mean, I think we've all agreed, the matriarch of the Star Wars universe. Any thoughts on it's been 5 years since Carrie Fisher has passed? I love that I'm just throwing out these pitches and everybody's just looking and saying, no, let this one fly right by.
Yeah, I can't believe it's been 5 years. It just seems like yesterday. And getting caught up in the hype of The Force Awakens and seeing the original cast back, and then that was just a real blow. She'll never be replaced.
Nope. No, it will definitely be tough. And you know what? God love her. I heard she used to get people to leave her house at the end of parties by playing the holiday special, and that would make people leave when people wouldn't leave the party. So I love Carrie Fisher. I mean, one of a kind. Let's face it. We lose John Madden yesterday, another one of a kind, and we lose Carrie Fisher. Just you can't replace people like that, right? I mean, it's You only wish you live a life to where people sit there and go, there will never be another one like that. And Carrie Fisher definitely was that way. DDoc, I know you're way into the Legos. Read an article the other day that Legos could possibly pass gold in the way they are growing in value. The Millennium Falcon, the Death Star 2, and the Imperial Star Destroyer have all increased by over 2,200% since they came out, and they're already expensive. So you can only imagine 2,200%. That's amazing.
That's like out of control. That's why it's like the $800 ad. Like I just keep looking at pictures of it, and I'm just like, I don't even want to see it. I can't spend $800 on a Lego.
And they don't really lose their value once they're built.
Nope.
No.
You know where the price is though is in the minifigs that come with them. Is like the funniest part is I love building the ships the most. And then I would see like, wait a second, I'm like, K2SO is selling for $25 when that's almost the cost of the U-Wing set that I bought. Like, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, I realize there's a whole world where it's everybody wants every minifigure, and they'll just sell the ship for like cheap, basically. They'll buy the sets just for the minifigs sometimes.
Yep. It's crazy.
I bought sets of minifigure knockoffs from China that I got like 100 different clone troopers, random Jedi. It was amazing because the sets are so expensive to get 2 or 3 of them.
Is it because they get lost so easily? Is that why their value is so much, the minifigs? I have no idea.
I don't get it.
It comes back to, I think it comes back to all of the toys, right? Every toy thing, when it comes back to, is the limited amount. They only print so many of them. They're hard to get. You have to buy it to be, could you get the K2SO from any other thing other than the U-Wing? If that's the case, then you have to buy the U-Wing. It's a limited figure, and not everybody was going to foot the bill for the U-Wing. So that it just becomes there's a culture for collecting almost anything in this world right now. Baseball cards. I got some Star Wars cards for Christmas. So the 2015 Force Awakens pack, I got a foil Finn. I looked it up on eBay. It's worth 99 cents. It's all good.
Yeah, but you know what? It's like Indiana Jones said, or Bullock, take this, put it under dirt for 100 years. What's it worth then, right? I mean, that's in what's that his name? Balosh? I can't remember. In the first Raiders of the Lost Ark. But you're right. Everything's got these values, and it's crazy. And I remember I bought, you guys know I'm not the Lego guy. I love Star Wars, but I've never clicked with the Lego stuff. Click with Lego. But
I see what you did there.
A guy is like, hey, I'm getting rid of these, and I bought them, and I was like, oh, cool. And then I started looking around going, what the heck am I going to do with these? And I started selling them all over the place, and people were like, does it have the minifig? Does it have the minifig? That's the first question anybody asks on any of them. So yeah, they're increasing in value. One last thing before we hit Boba Fett. The Lucasfilm like care package or Christmas package or holiday package,
gift.
Christmas gift on the outside of the cover of it had names we knew were coming along. Willow, Andor or the Kenobi series, different thing, Indiana Jones 5. But it had on there Tales of the Jedi, which no one knew what it was. And then I'm seeing these articles saying there's job postings for animation for Tales of the Jedi. You guys know probably more than I do. What the heck's going on with Tales of the Jedi? Is it an animated series? And when is it placed?
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows?
We're just putting things together right here. There's the job postings right now. And then you see this, which, by the way, did you see what the gift was?
No.
a Lucasfilm record player. It's actually really sweet.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, Tales of the Jedi, that's pretty generic name. That could be anything.
Yeah.
It would be pretty awesome if it was an animated series, but then again, I don't know. Live action's pretty hot right now. It'd be really cool to see a live action Jedi series where they're actually Jedi.
True that. Well, we'll see where it goes. But look, I again, I want to give DDoc time to get his feet wet, get back into the groove on things, and as we were getting started, and we wanted to talk about the main topic of the day. Today is the day that Disney Plus released the Book of Boba Fett, the first episode, Stranger in a Strange Land, and this morning, as typical, fashion, Joey and I started watching it. Unfortunately, because he was going out of town today, we couldn't watch it together. So we watched it. He was at his place, I was at my place, but we were just messaging each other the entire show. I'm just going to run down like something that I sent him after like 5-10 minutes. Kamino, Geonosis, Sarlacc, Sail Barge, Sandcrawler, Jawas, Tusken Raiders. Wow. 10 minutes. I think, and I hit all those things. Talk about scratching an itch for Star Wars fans. I know Brent's probably going, I've seen all those before. You have, Brent. I agree. But 38 years in the making from the Return of the Jedi to see this come around, just kind of blew me away. And I think, in my personal opinion, was it mind-shattering? Wow, look at all this stuff that happened. No, there were great parts and great scenes and great new characters and things like that. But I think it laid the groundwork that everything we need to know, here you go, one episode. So now we can say, okay, guys, you're all caught up. Maybe you've caught him in that episode of Mandalorian that you thought was such a cool show. Here's where he came from. Now let's get going. So I'm going to open the floor to everybody, and you guys we're going to let Brent take the lead. What were your initial thoughts of the Book of Boba Fett?
Pure question. And I'm going to say Sarlacc pit. And what was your impression?
I'll let Alfie start.
Well, the first thing that I noticed, just because I'm me, and I'm sorry I'm this way, but did anyone else notice the lack of the beak from the special edition of Return of the Jedi?
Yeah.
So I thought it was, so did he kill it, right? So there was a part of me that, because you didn't see the tentacle moving either. And it seems like on his way out, he killed it, but I wasn't sure. I mean, I'm just speculating because doesn't know. But when he got out and you see the hand, yeah, so sorry but yeah, no. I thought I agree with you. There's no beak.
I 100% agree. And I personally think he probably did to gut it and to get his way out of there. I think between the flamethrowers and chopping it up like a machete inside, I think he had to kill it to get out. And I mean, he didn't come back out the way he came in. So I think he killed it, got out of there. Come on. How cool was it, though, to see basically the corpse of a stormtrooper? I mean, it was a stormtrooper, but just sitting in there, caught up in the gut, in the belly of that thing. I wish they would have added a few like weakways or Klaatu or whatever in there. But great question. DDoc, any thoughts on that right there?
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed the fact that the stormtrooper's armor almost looked like it was kind of melting in certain spots. Probably took a torch to it a little bit before they threw that baby in there. But yeah, I mean, I just thought the Sarlacc pit was awesome. Right when it flashed back, I'm like, oh my God, are we going here? To see the old Boba Fett armor in there too, not the new, new painted armor. It was kind of cool to see that. So yeah, it was just a good way to just get you jacked up early on in the episode.
Agreed.
And see, this is one thing I love about these Star Wars series. It's a little throwaway, this stormtrooper being in there. But every one of us saw the stormtrooper and said, well, there weren't any stormtroopers at the Pit of Carkoon in Jedi, so there's got to be a story behind this one stormtrooper being inside. And then I instantly thought of like Casino with Joe Pesci, saying, the Vegas desert, how many bodies have we gotten rid of out here? It's countless. And you think, okay, well, Jabba's, he's a crime lord. Maybe the stormtrooper saw something he shouldn't have, or he couldn't be bribed. Just throw him in the pit. Nobody's going to look there.
I love it. Go ahead, Brent.
I can't take this, but it's the magic of the internet. Somebody posted the Patton Oswald filibuster.
Yes.
And actually overlaid it on top of the scene. And he's like, start in. We're zooming in on the twin sons of Tatooine. You paying down. You're looking at the wrecked sail barge. And then you see the Sarlacc pit. And the hand of Boba Fett breaches the surface of the... I mean, it is identical to the Patton Oswald filibuster.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. No, I loved it. I loved it. I mean, look, guys, it's I think we're going to, in the next 6 episodes, see plenty of new things and things we're not prepared for. And I think this was laying down the groundwork. One of the things that Joey and I said back and forth after it was over, was between the seeing the flash to Kamino, seeing the flash to Geonosis, and then seeing the Sarlacc pit area and what happened to Boba Fett, we were like, Joey ranks the sequel trilogy very high. Okay. Joey's, he's a younger guy. He likes the sequel trilogy more than I do. Now, I like the sequel trilogy. I have about a 10% problem with one movie. Other than that, I like the sequel trilogy. But he said, Dad, having some of those things at the beginning of Force Awakens or something like that maybe would have helped everybody be able to jump into all of this a little bit better. And I thought, good point. And maybe Disney's saying, instead of just throwing everybody in cold, let's do this. Let's wet their whistle. Let's give them a little taste of, that happened. Oh, that happened. Now I see why we're here, right? So, but that was just a quick conversation between he and I. So we have all this. We have the flashback. We what are some parts of the show that stood out to you guys? Because I mean, honestly, we can go through it and there's plenty of little things that stood out to me. Mos Espa, Max Rebo. I love Max Rebo band right there, right? I mean, who are the bad guys? Who are the bad guys that get him with the shields? Who are the bad guys at the house out in the middle of the desert? Whose house is that out in the middle of the desert, right? I mean, so there's so many things we could hit on. You guys go. Take the floor, hit me with something that we can go on this show. Go ahead, Alfie.
I was really blown away by the fact that they refilmed the Django Fett scene from Attack of the Clones. If you go back and...
That wasn't just a clip?
No, if you go back and look, the background is different, and it's from a different angle, and you get a shot from behind young Boba looking into the helmet and seeing his reflection back. And if you watch the credits, there is a young Boba Fett actor and stunt person credited.
I'm going to that scene right now while we're speaking and taking a look at that. So yeah, that's interesting.
So I just thought it was the clip from the Attack of the Clones.
Yeah. And it even shows him run towards the helmet. The clip in Attack of the Clones just showed him kneeling there.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely a different look. You know what? It flashed by so fast that I think my brain just consumed it like it was that scene. But you're right. They don't show that exact scene in Attack of the Clones. So
see, that's what's funny is this is the first time I've ever been watching Star Wars and being like, all right, this is a big episode and I need to pay attention to, small details because I'm going to talk about this afterwards. And that's the kind of stuff that I don't even notice because I'm just like, this is awesome that they're flashing back to this scene in general. I was just jacked to see that. I thought
I didn't expect that at all.
I thought the helmet did look a little cleaner than it did maybe in the the prequel trilogy. I don't know.
Which makes sense because it's a dream. It's not necessarily that exact scene. He's having a dream.
Did anybody else feel like that Tamara Morrison really thinned down for this episode here? Do you think that was movie magic, or do you think he really kind of got into a weight training program? Because there were some scenes after the Sarlacc pit when he was getting drug around by the Tusken Raiders that he looked pretty thin and trim and all that right there.
Yeah. He looks pretty menacing in just the flight suit, all damaged up.
That flight
yeah,
suit,
I
by the
was
way-
gonna.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, DDoc.
I was gonna say in the scene when he was running away after he broke the ropes, I'm like, how old is Tamora Morrison? I'm like, so I looked it up while I'm watching the episode. He's 61 years old, man.
Oh my god.
He looks great. Like that's one thought I had. I'm like, kudos to him for staying in that kind of shape. 61 years old.
Ming Na Wen is like 58 too. Like she's
Yeah.
in her like upper 50s.
Oh my
She-
god.
She's
Captain
like-
Rex fought in the Battle of Endor. Come on. It's good stock that they were made from.
You know, speaking of that one, the flight suit reminded me of Planet of the Apes with Charlton Heston. It looked like that. And they really did a number on Tim's face and his skin while filming that. I mean, he looked ghastly, right? I mean, he looked almost like a corpse. And did you notice the little worms they were putting, not only squeezing juice from worms into his mouth, but then using the worms like in Gladiator, where they were having the maggots eat on the flesh and things like that? They had those on his shoulder and on him while the Tusken Raiders were taking him. So the little details right there, wow, it was really cool. Go ahead, Brent.
So I want to go and talk about Mos Espa for a second. So we saw Mos Espa in
Attack of the
the
Clones?
Phantom Menace, right?
Yes.
And so Watto,
Mhm.
so Watto is in the outskirts of Mos Espa.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So is there anything else that we have seen from Mos Espa? Because I'm asking that just because I can't place all of the different properties. Has Mos Espa showed up in any of the other properties? And two, how clean was that brothel / bar?
Mhm.
Because that was like high end, and we've never seen, other than Canto Bight, you've never really seen high end bars. And is Mos Espa like the wealthy area of Tatooine? Because Luke would make you think it's the farthest spot from the bright center of the universe.
Quick question to go along with that. Was the Boonty Eve race, does that take place at Mos Espa or Mos Eisley? Because I couldn't remember. But and you guys can look that up. But you're right, Brent. As soon as they went into the bar that the Twi'lek were running, the canteen or what have you, man, first thing I thought was, this is clean. This is really nice. Like, it's not some dingy little place. They were there for service. Everything was clean. Everybody's dressed nice. It was well manicured. So definitely a different look. But I can't think of anything besides them meeting Anakin in Phantom Menace and then going back to see Watto in Attack of the Clones. Besides that, them being in Mos Espa. So
yeah, you get a little shot of them landing in Attack of the Clones, but you never get a real big pullback of the city. And Boonta Eve is held in the outskirts of Mos Espa.
Mos Espa. Okay. Good. DDoc or Alfie, any other thoughts that after we pass that up?
I liked the droid from Galaxy's Edge and the ride at Hollywood Studios showing up as the dealing. He was a dealer in that brothel
Really?
casino, whatever.
I didn't know.
He was also the pilot in the Rebels episode where with
Oh, yeah.
C-3PO and R2-D2. I think DJ, I think is his name.
I know you guys will know this, and I know he played many characters in the prequels, and I think some in I think he was even Bib Fortuna recently. Was that Matthew Wood playing the major domo to the mayor of Mos Espa, who didn't show up to pay tribute to Boba Fett? Was that Matthew Wood? I think it was Matthew Wood. Yeah.
I believe so as well. Like, because I know he was credited when I saw the credits. I know Matthew Wood was credited, and I believe that was who it was. But can you imagine the gall of the mayor? I want to know who the mayor. Like, at this point, I know that's the whole point. I want to know who the mayor is. Is it that Etherian that we saw in the previews? Because they haven't shown all of the previews. Is the mayor the Etherian? And like, that takes some brass balls to tell somebody who replaced Jabba and Bib Fortuna that you need to pay me.
Yeah. Agreed.
That was David Pasquise.
Okay. So I don't know who Matt Wood was in this one. but I knew I saw Matt Wood in the credits, so I was like, is that him right there? And there's thousands of people, because we have thousands of listeners, I'm sure, who are saying, Joe, you're an idiot. That wasn't him. Alfie just told you who it was. But I mean, I don't know what he looks like visually, I guess, but I know he's in all these different Star Wars things. So I thought that was a good throwback if it was. Yeah, so look into this. I mean, we have again, I thought it was cool when I've got the Max Rebo band T-shirt from Hollywood Studios way back when. So seeing him really was cool. But are we thinking that the mayor sent those guys with the vibro shields and the vibro blades to come after Boba Fett and Fennec Shan, or who was it who sent those after him? Go ahead, Alfie.
I don't think the mayor even sent that guy to go see Boba Fett.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And yes, I think the guys who attacked him are working for that guy.
But it's not the mayor. It's the other person.
No, this guy's working behind the mayor's back.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. I like the shields. I like the vibro blades. I like that some of the Gamorrean guards from Java said, hey, we'll be loyal to you, if you want us to be your henchmen, and to see them come out and have some fighting going on. And let's face it, when everything broke down and they had to take Bobo away because they had stuck him a few times, Fennec Shan was awesome. Here she was jumping all over the place, battling with these guys. She's just going to be a great character. We already know she's a great character, but she's just going to add so much to her lore during this show right here. It's just pretty cool. Any thoughts on the chase there? Alfie, you must know some deeper things that we don't know about those guys fighting. But there was a lot going on. I mean, we saw the Twi'leks paid tribute, put money in Boba's helmet, which of course all got taken away when the fighting occurred. Go ahead. Any thoughts on any of that part right there?
The credits in the helmet, did you notice this is kind of to me, was a little callback to episode 1, The Phantom Menace. The credits in the helmet were New Republic credits.
Really?
Yes, and if you remember, Watto said Republic credits are no good out here.
Alfie, this is why the Book of Boba Fett is the Book of Alfie. That's what I tweeted the other day, because I'm watching it, enjoying it like DDoc, and you're pointing out all these little things that I didn't see.
I just love that there's ninja stars in Star Wars now. Was that not awesome? The dude threw ninjas. It was like Storm Shadow from G.I. Joe or something.
Oh, gosh.
And she was scared to death of them. I mean, she took a leap off of a building to get away from the ninja stars.
Yeah. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
One thought I had from that scene right away was I was just like, damn, this isn't the best look for Boba, kind of, getting attacked. Number one, he doesn't even have his helmet on. So that, to me, that makes it look even worse when, I think maybe people might know that he's kind of been like a grinder and he hasn't been as much of a leader before. And they're like, let's try to take him down, because, I mean, you could already see right away in the beginning, you had Fennec is kind of trying to coach him, like, you shouldn't be doing this. Like, it's not going to work. And he's just like, I'm going to try it. Like, he wants to rule a different way. And right away, the way that he plans to rule proved him wrong immediately. He gets attacked in the streets and, in front of the public. So, what are people going to think of him? Is that a sign of weakness? I mean, they did kind of win, but.
Well, and when that mayor's guy was in Jabba's palace with him, Fennec turns and says, "You may kill him. You mean just kill him?" And he's like, "No, let him go. I'm going to show you a new way, like you said, a new way of leading things, whatever." She wasn't real happy. She's ready to take him out right there. So, yeah,
and see, that gave me like real Godfather vibes right there. The real enemy hasn't presented themselves yet. To me, yeah, Boba's putting on this little farce here, but he's presented himself as a vulnerable target to see who the real enemy is, who his real threats are.
You might be right. You might just be playing his cards and saying, I'm going to put this out there and see what we can, it's like fishing him in, right? Bringing him in on the hook. So, Do we have any thoughts? Was that just a random scene when he was doing the flashbacks to the Tusken Raiders and he's with that young Tusken Raider and they watch that robbery or whatever happened at that homestead on Tatooine? Do we have any ideas of why that was being shown, what that was about, or if it had any meaning to it? Brent, go ahead.
I just know in the previews they show speeders moving away from something, right? And it looked like the same speeders that were coming away from that homestead. So if anything, it could be him again proving himself to the Raiders, just like beating up and what he did towards the end of the episode. But I think it may be them going and proving themselves to the Raiders by stopping that group of people. That's I know Book of Alfie probably has a different read on it, but that's kind of where I was looking at it.
I'm with you so far. Everybody froze up, it looks like.
I'm good.
Okay, yeah, you guys came back. It was probably me. One, yes, I agree with you on that, Brent. But two, if you go back to The Mandalorian, I think like the first episode of the first season, the Tuskens made a big deal with Cobb Vance about them. They already steal their water. And if you watch those guys vandalize that homestead, they destroyed all the water supplies and were just letting it run everywhere. So one, the same people are always trying to get their things back, get their land back. But two, they're always after water. So I would think that any group that's just going to deliberately destroy water supplies that they see as theirs is going to become target enemy number one for them. And I really liked this Tusken group because they, from so much of what we've seen, outside of like Darth Crate,
Right.
The Tuskens have always seemed the same. And then now these guys, one, they're dressed in black. They seem to have a real fighting style and hierarchy. And are they an offshoot? What's this going to be? Is he going to, they going to become his personal army at some point? I mean, I think that would be awesome.
Go ahead.
They gave me Infant's Nest vibes.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
From Solo, like when I looked at him and like he was whoever the matriarch, I don't know if it's male or female, but the one who was wearing all the dark black, it just struck me as like Infant's Nest getup and garb. And
is this going to be a group of Tusken Raiders that say, hey, we've had enough of wandering out in the desert. We're going to take some stuff back.
I mean, they also had different tents. Right, so in Attack of the Clones, when Anakin goes crazy and kills them all because he hates them, they had like a tooth from the Banta, and these guys had just lean-to with like tarp.
Yeah,
like they're more on the go kind of. We're gonna strike from anywhere. We're always on the move. Rather like you said in Attack of the Clones, they seem to have like an actual village, an established village.
Right. Yeah, they were definitely more like nomadic and. You're right. That black in their uniforms, in their apparel, definitely stood out. And I think from the books we've read before, Tusken Raiders, didn't they have a matriarch? Wasn't it usually led by a female? I believe
that Kenobi, I believe it was a female. Like if you go back in the John Jackson whatever.
Miller. Yeah,
there you go. I couldn't think of. I knew it was three names, but yeah, I believe it was a female that ran the clique, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. So when those guys, when those guys were tearing up that homestead, what was that logo? Did it look like a letter J and a letter L, or a backwards L and a forwards L? What? I missed it. What was that?
It reminded me of the Atari logo from back in the day. I'm sorry, but that's what it looked like, the Atari logo. I don't know what it is or not, but I'm guessing that's how they find them, and that's how they go and do what I was saying, is that they go to those homesteads and see them and track them through that.
Okay. But, Alfie, do you have any insight on that?
No, that was one thing I meant to look up today, but I hadn't really seen anything on what. There's got to be some significance. Is it just like their little gang, symbol? Is it their calling card?
The wet bandits.
God, I was thinking the same thing.
The sticky bandits. Okay, so when Boba goes back in the tank again, he starts flashing back to the time with the Tusken Raiders. And again, we talked about that where he saw the crime happening and everything like that. But what was the deal with the one youthful Tusken Raider taking him and the Rodian, an orange Rodian, by the way, out, and they were digging up water-based items in the sand? First of all, that was like, where are we going with this? And then when they did find that creature, first of all, I'd never seen that creature before. Have we seen that creature before in Star Wars? Was it on
I haven't.
The Djarik table on the Millennium Falcon?
It kind of looked like it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So Brent, you might do some digging on that, because that first thing I saw was when it went on the back legs and had the arms up. I thought, is this from the table game? But man, how cool was it that then Boba takes the chain around the neck like Leia did on Jabba, and takes it down that way, and that's the way he gets taken into the culture there by the Tusken Raider, group or family that he's with. Go ahead, Brent.
My instant headcanon on that was, I was thinking of it kind of like a Spartan, and they were forcing him to go out and like prove himself as a Spartan, but he took these slaves with him to help him out, because he just laid down with his dog, and he wasn't really like, I mean, he was making them work for the water, right? But I think it felt like it was like, hey, you go do this trial. And there's a part of me that feels like that was what he was trying to find, was maybe food. I don't know what it was, but there's a part of me, while they were digging up the water, I think he was also trying to find that animal. I don't know, but that's kind of where I was at with it. It was like a Spartan quest.
No, I liked it. I mean, I thought it definitely took a turn, because I'm sitting there watching this going, well, we're out in the middle of the desert. We're just digging, and then all of a sudden, boom, here's this creature right here. So, and you can tell how ticked off Tamara Morrison, Boba Fett, was getting, because the Rodian kept finding him. And he's looking over him like, come on, really? You found like 3 or 4 now. He's thinking, what the heck? What's it going to take for me to find one of these items here? So, and I did like that they went back to the flashback of the dogs from Attack of the Clones, the dog-like creatures from the Tusken Raiders, and they had them there in the scene and everything. And they looked a lot better, obviously, 20 years later than the Attack of the Clones. So he gets himself indoctrinated into the Tusken Raider group. Alfie, where do you want to go from here?
Well, first, the Rodian was voiced by Sam Witwer.
Really?
Yes.
See, okay, all right.
And then, 2, I really liked that moment after he kills it and he's holding the chains. And you could tell he has that, that split second thought. Do I kill the kid and the dog?
Yes.
Go off on my way? Or, do I go back to them? Was this a trial? Because he could very easily have just gone back and they killed him. The kid could have said he killed the monster.
Right.
But,
right.
Yeah, it's just another step in this journey of Boba Fett. And I'm excited to see where it goes.
DDoc, we were talking about where he killed the creature when they're out digging for water and all that kind of stuff. Can you hear us all right?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, sorry, guys. Of course, the one night I have technical issues since I've been on this podcast is Boba Fett night. So I'm sorry. It is what it is. But did any of you guys think that creature looked like what was the name of the character from Mortal Kombat? You remember in Mortal Kombat the thing with 4 arms?
Yes.
Gyro or Giro?
Yeah, I don't know the name, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, right when that thing popped up, I'm like, oh man, we're going to some Mortal Kombat style stuff right here. This is wild. It was a pretty cool creature.
Yeah, see, I went first, Clash of the Titans. That was my first thought. But then I switched it to, is it from the Djarik table on the Falcon, like one of those little rubbery creatures? So yeah, but I had not thought of the Mortal Kombat. Of course, not being a gamer, it didn't cross my mind. But yeah, I thought that was a good
Goro.
Yep. Okay. So what are you guys' thoughts? I mean, this is now, we know that he was in the Sarlacc pit. This is going on 5 years later, because we now know that this took place during the Mandalorian. We know that he got his armor back. this happened after the season 2 of The Mandalorian. So 5 years, he's still going to the back to tank all the time to repair himself. He's still having flashbacks, memories, nightmares, dreams, whatever. Is this going to be a constant, or was this a first episode, let's refresher course like we discussed at the beginning, or is this going to be something that there's things in his past that we've talked about that are going to keep flashing up while he's in the back to tank? Go ahead, DDoc.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of that. Those were my exact thoughts. Are these flashbacks for the first episode or what? But then when he said to Fennec, "I'm having the dreams again," I'm like, maybe this is something that really was kind of throwing him off before. Perhaps that kind of threw him off his game, that he's having these dreams again. It might be getting in his head a little bit. So that was where my mind went.
Okay. Brent, Alfie.
Go ahead, Brent.
I think it's just a mechanism to try to catch you up. I mean, I think I like the idea that anytime he goes into the back to tank, that it triggers flashbacks. So that leads me to believe that they might start off episode because they threw him into the back to tank at the end of the episode to show us that. So there might be, you start the next episode with another memory. But I like that mechanism as the back to tank kind of triggers those memories that give us that background. But I look at it as just like filling in the backstory to help out the 38 years of people trying to come up with what his backstory was.
Okay, so we've already talked about that. Fennec Shan, Ming-Na Wen, is a pretty cool character, and she's pretty cutthroat if people will let her be. I mean, let's face it, the Mando was like, you don't want to mess with her all the way back in season 1, right? So we know that. And we know that right now Boba's showing some weakness. Is she super loyal to where she's not going to turn and say, I could take this all over myself? Or do you think, or is she going to do that? Is she going to, at some point in time in these 6-7 episodes, say, you know what, old man, I could take you out and I can be in charge? Is that a thought that's crossed anybody's mind?
I think that thought is there. But again, going back to a mobster movie, it's kind of like that scene with Jack Nicholson and Leonardo DiCaprio in The Departed. He says, yeah, I could probably do what you do, but do I want to do it? No. It's a lot easier to be the number 2 than it is to be the number 1.
Okay, yeah. I like that. Go ahead, Brent.
So yeah, I'm with you. I think that she's not going to turn at all, but I'm going to go back. I know the Book of Alfie thinks that the guys with the red shields and vibra swords are working with the mayor's consigliere, number 2 person that showed up. But I'm secretly hoping that they're working for another mob boss, just to try to see, because everybody, the vacuum of power, I want them to be multiple mob bosses having this war, the War of the Five Families type thing. Because I kind of want to see that come up. And it'd be awesome if they were working for like Zizor, or if they were working for Maul, or if they were working for someone in that realm.
I do like that.
Well, they
kind of cool.
Can't be working for Maul.
Well, no, they can't be right now. But they could be working for Kira.
Yeah, that's more likely.
Maul, okay, sorry, the dark, whatever they are, the Shadow Collective, or whatever, the Dark Sun, Crimson Dawn, Crimson Sun. Yeah,
Crimson. There you go. You got there. I let you get there yourself.
There you go. Walk through it. So overall, and I've got a question about future stuff here in a minute, but overall, again, I used to go, man, if that first episode's gonna rock your world and everything. There were tons of things in this first episode. I mean, I need to watch it a few more times, obviously, to catch up to the Book of Alfie. But I think it was very rich in storytelling. It was very rich in background. It was world building. I think all of those things we want it to be. It had a touch of the old with sprinkling in some of the new a little bit at a time. But I was very pleased with the first episode. It didn't leave me going, I'm kind of. I think this episode laid enough of the groundwork for me to go, wow, this is going to be something that's going to be good for these next 6 episodes right here. They were just let you taste a little bit of it here to get ready for the rest of it. What about your guys' thoughts overall on the show? And are there things that we haven't hit on so far that you do want to hit on? Go ahead, around the room. Anybody? DDoc.
Yeah, I think we've only just dipped our toes in the water, honestly, as far as where this show is going to go. I mean, I think they gave us a little bit of taste of everything, kind of established a little bit of stuff, but I mean, we still don't fully know the plot line. I mean, all we know is that, he's in charge now. It's something new to him, and, we'll see where it goes from here. I mean, do you think they're going to build this Tusken Raider story throughout the entire show of him like winning their respect? Or do you think that the guy giving him the water at the end of the episode was kind of just like the end of that? That's how he got in with them. Like that's what I was wondering. Will we be seeing these Tusken Raider flashbacks the whole time? Because that's kind of what led him to find Mando, basically.
I'm hoping that in that flashback, you'll see how he came across Shan.
Yes.
I mean, that's the one that I want to see in the flashback.
Yeah, because he came across Shan before he came across Cobb Vanth and the Mandalorian. So you're right. He found her dead, dying out in the middle of the desert. So you're right. It would be good to see that and see how those steps took until we got to see him in what was it? The end of season 2's first episode, right?
Yes.
So
if you go by the trailer, just in order, you would think you got the shots of him in the jumpsuit with the gaffy stick in Anchorhead, and then there's also shots of him and Shan sneaking around the palace to get back to Slave One.
Okay. That was awesome, by the way. Whoever's got music playing in the background, I'm sitting there looking around, is that me?
Oh, that's my clock. Sorry.
It's a Christmas
clock. I thought it was the ice cream man.
No, it was definitely Christmas music. That was a Christmas clock.
It is.
Brent, how about you on just some general comments or thoughts from episode 1 of this?
Give it an 8 out of 10. I enjoyed the heck out of it. So DDoc, you sent a message saying that you just finished it about 10 minutes before we got on, and I think I had finished my 3rd or 4th viewing of it at that time. So it's only 30 minutes, man.
Yeah, like true.
And I'm in that weird I don't have to work week, and so I just played it. No one was up in the house. I was waiting for the sun to wake up because I took that shift this morning, and I watched it like 3 times, and then I just watched it again at like 7 o'clock, waiting to come on.
As an educator, you are in the world between worlds of school right now. Yeah.
Yep.
So some things I wanted to hit on real quick. Rodriguez had said you're only going to see stuff really from the first episode in the trailer, in the previews. But let's take a second and remind ourselves that we see the Hammerhead Ithorian in one of the previews. So we have that yet to come, which I think is either, we can estimate or guesstimate that it's maybe the mayor or maybe another mob boss or, right there. The young lady on the speeder bike who comes flying in at the end that everybody's throwing out 100 different ideas on who it could be. That was one thing that came in the previews or the trailer we haven't seen anything with in the first episode. Are there other key scenes from some of the previews that you didn't see in this first episode? Go ahead, Alfie.
The mayor's right-hand guy being chased by the speeder bike gang through the streets of Mos Espa.
Okay. All right. So you're right. I mean, if they're chasing him down, right? Are they really working for that guy? Anything else that I tried to pick my brain and going, okay, did I miss anything here? Go ahead, DDoc. Did you have something you saw?
Now, so from seeing the trailers and seeing the old man passing behind the Twi'leks or Twi'leks, did that happen in this episode? Because I didn't rewind and double check.
No,
so that wasn't this episode.
No,
okay, that was the one thing that I thought was like, all right, he'll probably wind up back there, and I don't know who that guy is, but he sure as hell looks like Obi-Wan.
I like it. Go ahead, Brent.
So there's a picture of Fennec Shan, or a video of Fennec Shan bringing one guy in, and there's the video of them walking in with the Luke Skywalker's friends into their hut, which is probably going to be in a flashback.
Yeah.
There is another scene in that it's connected to the scene with the collection of the one red guy with the red shield. They walk into a room, Fennec and Boba, and there's like 6 guns that are drawn and pointed at Boba and Fennec Shan, something like that. So that one wasn't there. They also look into the Rancor pit, and you see the shot from underneath looking up into the Rancor pit. That's not there. And then there's the dinner with the 5 families or whatever, the capos, where he's sitting there at the dinner, where we thought she was going to talk about you talked, and this is the feed you to the menagerie, when he actually she said it to somebody else at a different time.
Yeah.
So those are 4 or 5 that are just off the top of my head.
Love it. I love it. So you're right. I mean, we discussed it. This was a appetizer. This first episode was getting people caught up. Again, for as much as we think this is what every person who watches Star Wars is all about, we are guys who've been watching Star Wars since we were old enough to talk, right, and walk. There are plenty of people who their first part of Star Wars was The Mandalorian in the last 2 years. And to see this character and have then people go, wait a minute, there's another guy in Mandalorian outfit. Where's he from? What's he? I didn't read any of the books. Oh, I saw him in Empire and Jedi. What? This is bringing it all together. And this first episode makes you go, wait a minute, there was a water planet. For somebody who watched Mandalorian, there's a water planet. What does that have to do with Boba Fett, right? Oh, wait, why is he holding that guy's helmet in the middle of that stadium right there, right? I mean, so they're taking you and saying, hey, you might want to check out the prequels. You might need to check out the original trilogy. And oh, by the way, now we're going to take you to the next step. Guys, we could be in for anything. We could be in for anything from Ahsoka to Mandalorian to, I mean, any of these people could come and be a part of this show by the time we get done with 7 episodes right here. Any crazy random thoughts? Brent had hit on great things we didn't see in the episode from the previews. Any other thoughts of things we couldn't see or things we missed on? Alfie.
One, some interaction between Boba Fett and Cobb Vance, because he knew that Mando took the armor from him. So how did he figure that out? And him tracking the Mandalorian down to where they meet in the tragedy episode. I mean, did he just randomly pick one planet out of the galaxy and that's where he was at? So again, like you said, yeah, we could see Ahsoka. I mean, it would make sense if he's following the Mandalorian, a few days behind from location to location during the season. He could pretty much go anywhere. And I would absolutely love for him to show up at Maz Kanata's bar.
Man, we are just hitting things all over the place right here. There's a lot that could be.
Every time I hear Maz, I can't help but to think of what T-Bob said about her and Chewie, man. Every time. T-Bob. Thank you for that.
Oh, by the way, I did reach out to T-Bob. I know for sure Mark Anthony Austin, we talked to him a while back, and he said he'd be happy to come back. I did reach out to him, asking if he'd come and cover the last episode of Book of Boba Fett with us. He did say he would do that. We have some other guests who've come on with us, the Duchess, T-Bob, Scott Ryfin, Steve Lawson, Adam Bray, who've all said, we've started some discussions to see if they want to come and be a part and maybe join in with us as we recap the episodes one by one. Look, I know I'm not big. I don't do the chronological thing. I don't sit here, and maybe that's wrong, but I didn't want to go a scene by scene. People can watch this show, right? I mean, for us to go scene by scene, we might as well just have it up on the screen right here and us talking over it. That doesn't really do any good. I mean, the things that stand out to us are the things we should talk about and then let people watch the show. But again, Brent, I think you're right. An 8.5, something like that. It didn't make it go, oh my gosh, I'm losing my mind, but it made you go, man, this is wetting my whistle right here on this And anytime you can have live action Star Wars going on, and people week to week having a week in between to talk about it and think about it is a good thing. So, any other thoughts you guys want to hit on the Book of Boba Fett in the first episode before we shut things down tonight?
The Jawas let him keep his shoes. I thought that was nice of them. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but he still had his shoes on. So, at least they respected that.
I did not pay attention to that.
Yeah, as he was walking through the desert, I'm like, all right, at least his feet aren't burning, even though he's getting drugged by a chain right now. But I was also wondering, too, if we're going to hear ripples of what's going on with Mando without seeing anything. Like, if we're going to hear, like, news of other stuff going on in the galaxy, and it could be Mando's story taking place while this is going on, like that's another thing that I've thought of, where we might not see what's going on with him, but we might hear some stuff.
It makes sense. Definitely does. I mean, it's going on the same timeline, right? I mean, as far as we know, Ahsoka's show and the Mando are going on coinciding with this show right here. So
I'm going to go Marvel with that and just say it's like a Marvel movie. Unless they specifically call for help, no one pays it any attention whatsoever.
The world's coming to an end, but
but it only affects Captain America for this 2 hours. Nobody else cares.
That's right. That's right. Brent, was there anything you thought was missing from this, or is it got, like you said, you've watched it 3 or 4 times now, so you must have enjoyed it at an 8 out of 10. Anything you want to see or you thought was lacking from the first one?
No, I want to know where the story goes. I'm allowing the story to take its place.
I can text you after we're off air.
Well, so so you say that, but then in my social media perusing after the episode, right? Because we all get bombarded and somebody said that those Reddits were not accurate, right? So somebody said, based upon this one showing, this 130 minutes, that they weren't following the 4chan lead.
There's still people on Reddit that deny that certain people are in Spider-Man, even though the movie's out. That's fake. So I don't really go by what Reddit says, but yeah, I know
it's something that was. There were people saying that if you believe that those hacks or those postings and those whatever it was, that they're leading you astray because none of that came true, or none of what they said was going to happen in the episode actually happened in the episode. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure you can tell me what the plot's going to be, but I want to let it play its course, right? That's the way I roll. That's the way I let it roll.
I'm really excited about that too. You know what? I'm going into this show with no expectations, except I'm excited to see something that we all saw 38 years ago come together and follow the storyline. And I'm excited at the same time to see if it builds into the Star Wars MCU, like Alfie has been saying it will. And if all those things come together, then they've hit a home run, right? If they can rekindle the stuff from 1980 and 1983 and also hit on things that have happened in the last 2 or 3 years, then amen, hallelujah. Let's run with it. Go ahead, Alfie.
One thing I really loved about this episode, and it's just me, and I'm sorry that I'm this way, but after 30 some years of reading comics, books, all the guides, visuals, all that stuff, it was so awesome to finally see Gamorrean guards being useful.
True.
Usually they're just there and they die and they don't do a single thing. It was so awesome to see him finally kick some butt and show why they are the bodyguards of everyone.
Yeah, they were built, man. I saw a UFC fighter was casted as one of those guys. So I was looking at the casting after the episode, and one of the guys had like UFC shirt on, was built. So it'll be funny seeing those guys tail along throughout the series too. I think they're going to have their own little storyline. I think they're going to help Boba out.
Guys, I'm having the show playing over here by me while we're doing this. I can't tell you what house that is out in the desert that's getting robbed. I mean,
well, they all kind of look the same.
I know. I mean, is it just cookie cutter. Everybody just drops them in the sand and goes. I mean, but that symbol they're putting out there is still ticking me off. It's gonna come back, and we're all gonna be like, "Daggone it, we should have seen that coming." But hey, I want to know now.
It's the Atari symbol, and it's Owen and Baru's house.
He's just calling his shot right there.
Those were my first thoughts. Is like when I was watching this scene, I'm like, the guys on the podcast are going to know whose house this is, because I'm like, I don't know if this is Luke's house or what. I'm like, these guys will know right when I get on. I guarantee it. So I'm glad there's mystery out there.
And also this is taking place.
Right.
Well, I mean,
they're already Owen and Baru.
Yeah.
Owen and Baru are already cooked, so it can't
That's
be
right.
them, right? Like they're already crispy critters.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's go around the room. Let's hit some closing thoughts. Anybody wants to hit, whether it's something to do with this show or any other topic, and then we'll close it down. Because I get told all the time, gosh, those shows that are an hour or less, they're really easy to listen to on the way to work and the way back from work. So we're about that time. So let's give the people what they want here. DDoc, I know you were in and out with computer troubles and all that, but any closing thoughts on the show or other things?
Yeah, so talk about something funny. I'm using my new microphone stand. I'm using my new microphone to hold my phone right now as I'm using everything I've had all this time. So yeah, but I want to show, my sister got me a Boba Fett from that vintage store I was showing you guys. She did rip off the price tags on it. I didn't say anything to her. I was gonna say, Liz, it's okay if I know the price on this. You can leave that sticker on it, but I'm just pumped to get that. I got that in R2, and I got a Hot Toys figure for the first time in my life, which I'm jacked up about. So I didn't get to talk about Christmas at all. I had a very good Star Wars Christmas. People hooked me up with a lot of stuff. Boba Fett's on. I'm very happy right now.
Good. Brent, how about you?
Dave has not been able to see the toy that I was painting up and making. It is the infantry support platform. You can help me out because I believe it's from one of the video games on the Battle of Kashyyyk, but I've painted it up and got it all ready to roll. And then I've also done the base because it's a swamp speeder, so it looks like a swamp on the base. So
and that comes as a fully built figure?
Oh, hell no. You have to model it together. It comes on, they call them sprues. You got to clip them out and glue them together. So you do your Bandai models, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
No. So this thing probably came in about 75 to 80 different pieces that you got to glue together.
All right. I'm going to have to look into those.
Star Wars Legions. Don't go down that hole.
Like the engine itself is 5 different pieces. Like there are 3 or 4 different pieces that hold it together to make it that. This little middle pipe, this middle piping is actually 2 pieces that get pushed together to glue together.
That is beautiful.
So, and then like the guys, their seat belts, the chairs, like 4 different. Yeah.
He has a touch for that. He's good at that. The painting, the putting them together. That's Brent's thing.
You have no idea. I'm a 2 on the painter scale compared to some of the guys that I've seen. So.
Alfie, how about you? I've been enjoying your attic reveals, by the way, all your attic stuff.
Yeah, I almost didn't want to share that because it just looks like I have a serious problem.
Looks like.
It's for the kids. It's for the kids. You have 4. It's for the kids.
Yeah,
or 3.
it's like I said. I didn't even show half the stuff. I was just looking through tubs, and like, oh, hey, this looks cool. I completely forgot about the Boba Fett gauntlets.
Hey,
and I packed up more stuff this week, and it's getting ready to go up there. But as far as the show goes, I loved every second of it. I wish it was longer. I hope we get a season 2. I think this story's got some legs. It could really go somewhere. Going back to the Clone Wars, how much play did we get out of the Pike Syndicate and, Death Watch? And, there's always more criminals. And they're always fighting each other. That's the best part. They're always at war, either a Cold War, they're going to the mattresses. But I can't wait to see where this goes.
Good. Well, I I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think Brent called it. I think it was a good 8 to 8.5 out of 10. And I think we're going to have some 10s probably coming up. The way they're ramping this thing up here over the next 6 episodes. Again, we'll have some guests coming on. To follow up, Tony did send me pictures. Tony, my brother, who's part of the show sometimes, he got one of those helmets, Dave, that you do, the Legos. He got the Stormtrooper one. So he did that over Christmas. He loves that. He's been sending me pictures on that. Joey got Cad Bane, which he was really excited about. I got the Art of the Mandalorian book right here, which is gorgeous. I mean, all the sketches and drawings. Some of the Baby Yoda Grogu drawings are hilarious. So what they were originally thinking about doing. But you know what? We're in a good time for Star Wars, and there's a lot of stuff going on. And you know what? We're gonna be along for the ride. We're gonna go through this journey together as friends, and with all of you who are listening. So to Brent, to Alfie, to DDoc, thanks so much for listening to Chapter 117. We'll be back next week with another episode about whatever's going on in the world of Star Wars, as well as the Book of Boba Fett. And we just thank you for listening. Thank you for following again at Rule the Galaxy SW on Twitter, Rule the Galaxy SW at gmail.com. Just Rule the Galaxy on YouTube and Facebook. And thank you guys. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Let's see where 2022 takes us. And Alfie's got something real quick. Go ahead.
Real quick. Sorry. I just like you, I'm watching it and going through the credits here. The red guys with the shields are credited as being the Nightwind Assassins.
There we go. A little Nightwind Assassins, a little bit of knowledge being dropped on you before we end the show. Let's go look that up in EU and see where it is. Brent, it might be in a book. I don't know. So.
Guaranteed.
Star Wars role-playing game.
Here we go.
Going back to the 80s.
There we go.
The West End's game. Okay.
They're bringing more C&D characters out of the sandbox like Filoni and Favreau like to do. Hey, with that, the Nightwind Assassins, until next week, may the Force be with you.